Danny, Barnet tomorrow then. It was an entertaining game in the reverse fixture. Are you expecting a similar type of match tomorrow?
Hopefully, in terms of the outcome. It was a Friday night, wasn't it? We played them early on, and they got back in the game, didn't they? And it was a bit nervy for about 5-10 minutes, and we sort of started to dominate. And I think as we carried on, we just kept on scoring. So I thought it was a good game for the neutral, and I thought they really gave us a tough time for last periods of that fixture. So yeah, I'm hoping for the same outcome. Obviously, we hope they don't score and little things like that. But yeah, we want to go there and get the 3 points. But the league position doesn't lie. And they're sitting fifth, and rightly so. So it's going to be a real tough one.
Yeah, they're having a really much improved season compared to last couple of seasons. You know, what have you made of them from what you've seen?
I think the manager's got massive part of that. To be fair, Dean, I think before he came in, they were in free fall really. I know he went in initially as like a director of football and what have you, but since taking the reins properly, I think he showed his experience. He's got them organised. He's got them playing a certain way. They've got threats all over the pitch. You know, they scored a lot of goals from set pieces. So, yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. They don't go from being nailed on for relegation to sort of potential playoff promotion hopefuls overnight if it's not down to the manager and the recruitment side of things. So, fair play to him. But, you know, that praise goes out the window tomorrow. We've got to make sure we turn up and show them why we're 11 points ahead of them, which is what we are. We've got to try and make that 14.
Yeah, are you going to have to be at your best or as close to your best tomorrow if you're going to get a result?
Yeah, like every game. I think you saw how late we had to leave against Altrincham because we weren't necessarily at our best and they were giving their absolute all. So when you play against teams that are giving everything and we're not quite there yet, it becomes a tough day or a tough evening. I think with all due respect, Barnet will be probably more of a threat than Altrincham, especially at home. And they'll, you know, just like any team we play, they won't just want to take a point and just have a nice day out and test themselves. They'll want to beat us. And you don't get to fifth in the table through going for points. You go for wins. So they'll be going for wins, but we're strong. We're having a really good season. Like I always say, it's a shame that there's a couple of teams doing slightly better than us at the moment. Any other year we're top comfortably, but it's not to be so far this season. But we've got to try and aim for that top spot, and it carries on with a win at Barnet, hopefully.
Yeah, what's the sort of feeling within the camp? You know, when you sort of get back in the dressing room and you see that Notts and Wrexham have won again, is it a little bit deflating, or is it sort of, well, we've done our job, we've won our game, let's go again? Yeah,
it's a double-edged sword, really. I mean, you think you come in if you'd lost and think, oh no, they've made the gap bigger. And you come in, you won, you go, well, good job we won, but if they'd lost, we would have closed the gap. So there's loads of things go through your head. All you can do is win yourself, because come the end of the season, you've got no regrets. You know, come the end of the season, if a team's won the league and got over 110, 111 points, you have to take your hat off to them. You know, there'll be no bitterness. It'll be fair play, you've deserved it. But I think whoever wins the league this year will get very close to that 100-point mark, which I think may be the last team to get near that. Maybe Lincoln with the Cowleys a few years ago. I might be wrong with that statement, but it doesn't happen very often. And I think this year, us, Notts and Wrexham, we're all trying to push close to that, and it's going to be the closest person to 100 that does it. But as I say, the here and now is to try and cement ourselves in that top three, keep Woking at bay, etc., and focus on the performance, which ultimately should lead to the result.
First clean sheet on Tuesday night in 8 games, I think it was. I mean, as long as you're winning, I suppose it doesn't really matter that much. But clean sheets, are they something that you're speaking about? You want more of them if you can?
You try and tick every box as a coach. You try and talk about clean sheets. You try and talk about scoring a load of goals. You try and talk about keeping the ball. You look at the possession stats and you try and talk about how many goals you score from set pieces and how many yellow cards you get. There's so many things you try and tick. You try and get right, and you can't always get them right. You can't get every single one right. But if you get the 3 points, you've usually got more ticks than unticked boxes. So I think really going into it, you've got to go, well, at Barnet, it's the same mindset. You try and tick every box. If we go there and get a clean sheet, you think, well, we usually score, we average 2 goals a game. If we don't concede, we usually win. That's stating the obvious, but that's, a lot of teams don't score and they get a lot of nil-nils over a season. We're not one of those teams, so we do know, answer to your question, mate, we do know if we do get a clean sheet, we'll probably win, not just tomorrow, but we'll win any game if we keep a clean sheet. But we've also shown that if we go a goal behind, we can come back and win as well. which is great. So, yeah, it's all about box ticking at the moment. We're ticking a lot of boxes, but it's going to be tough tomorrow. If we can keep a clean sheet and win, that's the perfect day.
Yeah, it was the first time he scored first for quite some time. It's great that you bounce back ability squad, but first goal games are well, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think one of the things I was saying in the warm-up to the lads the other night was, we get an early goal, it does make the whole evening not easy at all, but it makes it more comfortable, gets the fans a bit more relaxed as a staff, and the players can relax a bit more, because then the teams, they can't all sit behind the ball unless they're just going to accept a 1-0 defeat. Sooner or later they have to come out and try and get an equaliser, which opens up more gaps, which is how we want to play. So when you don't get an early goal, it's vitally important you don't concede. And even though the first half was disappointing in lots of ways, I think what was great was that in that little wobble before half-time we didn't concede. As much as that sounds like a bit of a negative thing to say, it does happen. And then the second half is a slog because Altrincham then find a whole lot more energy they didn't know they had to try and get 3 massive points here at Chesterfield. So to keep them at bay was a credit to us as defensively, and a little bit of luck here and there, but defensively was great. So it's like Barnet tomorrow. We don't want to concede the first. Of course we don't. Silly thing to say, but we do know this season that when we do, we can bounce back, which is great. We can score late. We've cut out the conceding silly late goals like we did last season. But we're now post-Christmas. We're just over the halfway mark. A long way to go. We can't just let all these good habits we've got suddenly slip away and shoot ourselves in the foot.
Lucas Kovalan started in goal in midweek. Has he got the shirt now?
I'm not sure what's going to happen at Barnet. Like I say, I haven't really been part of a team in the past. I've been blessed with 2. We call them number ones. Usually, with all due respect, you have a number one and someone either a young goalie or someone at the end of their career or someone who's quite not happy being a number 2, but they're there. Do you know what I mean? But they understand that the main man is, regardless of mistakes, keeps his shirt. That's not the case here. We've got training today. We're yet to decide the team. We've talked about things this morning as staff, and obviously the manager will have the final say on that. But whoever comes in, whoever plays, we're confident. I thought Lucas did ever so well the other night, and I thought Ross did ever so well before that, the game at home to West Brom. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one for whoever doesn't play in any game. But if, like I said the other night, if it means that there's a little bit of a share between the two, which gets us over the line, they're going to have to get on with that, and hopefully that'll keep us up near the top of the league.
Yeah, you don't often see that with goalkeepers where, we see it with outfield players where they're sort of swapping and rotating. Maybe not so much with goalkeepers, but could that be a scenario that we see for the rest of the season then?
I don't know. I can't obviously not speak for the gaffer, but as much as we've changed a few things recently and because of fatigue and injuries or what have you, he's not a big believer in chopping and changing too much, so I don't think it'll be you have one, then you have a game, then you have a game, and you have a game. As I say, Ross was feeling under the weather before the Notts one was called off and Lucas was due to play. I think he just felt it was fair that was, the lads knew what the team was going to be, and then to change it back again for the Tuesday might have been a little bit unfair. It's all opinion based. Some people might not agree with that, but I think as you saw the other night, Lucas was excellent. Did really, really good. Done some good stuff. Come for crosses, just like Ross has been doing. So it is a flick of a coin, sadly, in a lot of ways, because they're both so good. But in terms of who's going to play at Barnet, we don't know yet.
And I know you answered a lot of these sort of questions in midweek, but I've got to ask again. Are there any incomings? Could we see anyone come in before tomorrow?
Before tomorrow, 100% no. 100%. No, I tried to build it up there. No, definitely no incomings for tomorrow, mate. We're travelling today. I think we're leaving here at 12 o'clock, 12:15. Squad will go down, and then we'll obviously go through training and go through some tactic stuff today, etc. Keep the boys fresh. But no incomings for tomorrow, mate.
And I know you can't go into specifics about certain players, but is it fair to say that you are looking to maybe strengthen?
I think every team does. I know it's a bit of a cop out for coaches when they're answered that. I think you always do. If you're going to say we're happy with the squad, yes, definitely. Is it paying back all the Matt Gaffer's and our faith in the signing them and playing them and coaching them yet. Like I say, any other year we're top of the league. So they're doing their part, the players. Do you always look to see if there's anything out there? Of course. You know, we've got a recruitment department that's always looking and out watching games and seeing if there's anything out there that could strengthen. Not necessarily replace, just strengthen. I think you saw Notts County signed the lad Jody Jones this week, and you know we signed Ryan Coldclough the other week. So we're all trying to strengthen with players that we feel will make us better. Not necessarily better than what you've got, but just might be different to what we've got. I think Ryan's definitely that who's coming. So at the moment, there's no immediate ones, but like I say, things can change in football very quickly. So never say never, but for the here and now, no, we're good as we are.
And the players that you are being linked with are strikers, forward players. Is it fair to say that's an area that you are looking at?
I think they're the ones that always get linked, aren't they? Really, I think one thing I will say is that Danny Rowe joined in full training yesterday for the first time since he's come back from Fylde, because he's been a bit ill, and he showed glimpses of the Danny Rowe we saw when we first signed him. So we're all hoping that could be a not a new signing, but someone in the building that I wouldn't say people wrote off, but you get forgotten about when you're out on loan and you're injured and you're ill, and people, you know, don't mean any harm by it, but they just forget that he's part of the football club. So he's back. He won't be involved down at Barnet, but hopefully he can get fitter and give us and the gaffer food for thought going forward. So then you got him, Cabs, Quiggs, Quasi. We've got some good centre forwards at this club. So you're always going to get linked to players because, you know, a lot of the time they're the ones that get you over the line. They're the ones who get you that playoff or promotion place. So I'm not surprised that we get linked with centre forwards, but I think we've seen already going forward we were not struggling for goals. So it's certainly not trying to fill a void. It's like anyone. If you bring someone in, it's just to potentially make us a bit stronger, but it's not to fill a gap that we're not filling at the moment.
Is there a time scale on Danny Rowe when we might sort of see him, you know, get a bit of action?
I would say he'd be close to match fitness at least in a couple of weeks. But don't quote me that, which is a bad thing to say to a journalist. But I would say if we can get him, he'll join in today, which will be light, so that won't really push him. He's been doing a lot of work with Ben and Jordan, like individual fitness work, which he's approached really professionally. So yeah, we all know what Danny Rowe can do. But like I say, you said the same thing about Manny the other week. If he come back fit, we're doing really well as a team, and it's really hard to get back in a team or a squad. I mean, you look at some of the players that weren't on the bench the other night because we're doing so well at the moment. But things can change. You know, you don't do so well for a couple of games, those players are suddenly called upon. So it's important that Danny and all the others keep themselves fit and get ready if needed.